Let's get it on then, shall we? Mwah. Welcome to Sex on the Peach, your weekly hump day dose of everyone's favourite untalked about topic, sex. Let's get honest, let's get open, let's get comfortable, and let's get into this week's show. Good morning, everyone. Here we are again into another week, another hump day, and another Sex on the Peach day. I'm your host, Peach, and today's episode is the first in a little two-part series that I like to call Your Bedroom Besties That Sex Ed Forgot. Two of the most important things, in my opinion, that can be used to create more pleasure, more comfort, and more fun that no one ever taught us about. And those two little miracles are lube and sex toys. So today, we're going to be talking about all things lube. Now, lube may not feel like the most glamorous or exciting topic, but actually, it's an essential part of a healthy and enjoyable sex life. And there is actually much to talk about. With the right lube and a willingness to experiment, anyone can enhance their sexual experiences and feel more comfortable and confident during sex. We're going to be debunking the myth that wetness is synonymous with arousal, delving into all the different kinds of lube that are out there for you to try, and hoping by the end of this episode that all lube taboos are removed and you are all stocking up on sex's little helper. So, let's slide into it, shall we? Here is, yes, you Lubri-CAN. Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know, although I really hope you do, lube, short for lubricant, hence the title, lubricant, Lubri-CAN, who doesn't love a joke that needs explaining, is a substance used during sexual activity to reduce friction and enhance pleasure. It can, and should, be used during any type of sexual activity, including masturbation, foreplay such as hand stuff or oral sex, and penetrative sex, whether that be vaginal or anal. It can make penetration more comfortable, reduce discomfort during anal play, and intensify sensation during masturbation or oral sex. Lube can also be used to experiment with different types of touch and pressure, and can be a great tool for exploring new fantasies or kinks. It can help prevent pain during sex, reduce the risk of tearing or injury, and make sex just feel more enjoyable overall. Sex can actually be super painful for some people, especially if they have a condition such as vaginismus, which I spoke at great length about with my best friend Katie in season 1. But the right lube can really help some of the symptoms that make sex painful and create a more positive and pleasurable experience. There are even brands that make lubrication specifically for people dealing with those conditions, helping to provide relief from discomfort. Finding the lubrication products that work for you and keep sex pleasurable is important. And I promise you, no matter your criteria, there will be something that works for you. I would think that most of us would agree that sexual experiences, whether alone or with a partner, are better when wet. Yep, babies, it's better down where it's wetter. Take it from me. But there is still so much shame and such a stigma around using lube because of the assumption that needing it means you're not sexually aroused by your partner. And so partners can sometimes react defensively if you ask to use it, because they take it personally and think it means they aren't enough to get and keep their partner wet. I even posted on my social media that someone sent me in the statement, "Lol, people don't need lube if they know how to get their girl wet in the first place." Well, actually, lol, lube is not a need thing. It's a want thing. And what a shame that you don't want to make your sexual experiences for your girl even better. Lol. According to a huge study by Indiana University, one of the prime spots for sex education into the effects of lubricant, they found that women and vulva owners were 80% more likely to orgasm if they used lube. Yes, that is 80%. It also found that it makes it 50% easier for men and penis owners to orgasm. It literally leads to more orgasms, more pleasure for both you and your partner. But I guess you don't want that because at least you can get your girl wet, right? People suggesting we don't need lube are also assuming we are just lubed and ready to go any time of day, when that's in fact totally incorrect. If I'm having a precious Sunday morning spoon, that lube is coming to the party. Even if I'm super turned on, ain't nothing getting up there of a Sunday morning without some assistance, my friends. Also, for my fellow vulva owners, although penis owners who have sex with vulva owners, I'm going to need you to listen to this the most. How wet you are is not always an indication of how turned on you are. Your wetness level is not always synced with your arousal level. You can be wet and not even mildly turned on. Or you can be fully aroused and giving it Sahara Desert down there. It is not always an indication. And these things can be affected by your time of the month or where you are in your cycle, age, the type of birth control you're taking, or even any medications. Antidepressants can be hell for causing vaginal dryness. And vaginal dryness is something no one wants to talk about, but it happens. It's real. Especially for women or vulva owners who are going through menopause or dealing with low levels of estrogen, which literally just leads to less vaginal moisture. We got to talk about these things because so many people are dealing with it and are embarrassed or feel ashamed, but you're not alone and you have nothing to be ashamed or embarrassed about. And also, if people were more informed at a younger age and up for using lube, this wouldn't ever have become the issue that it has. When I was younger, and I'd say in my first 5 years of being sexually active, I became obsessed with feminine hygiene products because I simply didn't know any better, and I was even using deodorant for your vagina. Literally, what the fuck was I thinking? Not okay. Anyway, those products are nonsense and simply not good for you. I messed up my entire pH, and that deodorant left me going full Ryvita cracker down there. Not a drop of moisture to be seen, babes. Nothing was going to fit in there. So whilst I weaned myself off these terrible, unnecessary products, I started to get lube involved because at that time, I didn't think there was another option. And I didn't realize how much of an absolute game changer it was going to be. I am sorry, but there is nothing pleasurable about dry, unlubricated sex. And even if you are wet during sex, lube keeps that wetness consistent, which our natural wetness just isn't, especially if you're going at it for a while. Also, I know some of y'all be thinking it's sexy to be spitting on each other's genitals, as do I sometimes, no judgment. But saliva, it ain't lube. It's literally just going to dissipate into the air. So Keep your sexy spitting going on, sure, but also reach for that bottle, babies. Come on, don't be shy. Also, the wetter and more lubricated your sex is, the more you can have. That's correct. More sex for everyone. You can thank me later. As well as making sex more comfortable and pleasurable, lube can also help you have safer sex. It can reduce the risk of friction or tears. Tears can happen to both penis owners and vulva owners, but are more frequent for the latter. And they can cause yeast infections, UTIs, pass on STIs, inflammation, and also it just makes it fucking painful. Also, if you are in any way dry and using condoms are your primary source of protection, they are more likely to split if there is dryness and friction. So using lube is also going to make your use of condoms safer. It can literally protect you and your genital health and well-being. Namaste. Also, if you want to try anal play, I won't be, but you should if you want to. The anus is not a part of your body that naturally lubricates, so you will absolutely have to get anal lube involved. More info on that shortly. And it also allows for more stamina, because the more comfortable sex is for everyone, the longer they are able to partake in it. So listen, cute if you can get your girl wet, but lube actually allows for longer, more pleasurable, more comfortable, safer, more frequent sex that is much more likely to result in orgasms. So let's leave behind the shame, the stigma, the ego, and get involved, shall we? I literally have about 3 different bottles of lube in my bedroom at any one time, and sachets with me in just about every bag I take around with me. I would actually highly recommend the little sachets to have on hand at all times, because you just never know when the mood is going to take you. And if you have lube, then you can actually make that happen for yourself. In fact, if the bag I'm carrying doesn't contain condoms, sachets of lube, and a sex toy or two, you should probably presume that I'm simply having a terrible day. Okay, so now that we know why we should be using it, let's talk about the many, many, many types of lube that are there for you to try. Obviously, different things work for different people, and so it may be a little case of trial and error to find your favourite kind of lube. Or you may just find that you like to have a variety for different occasions and experiences. Let's get on this slippery little slope because hot damn, there's a lot of info to take in here. Number 1, and the one I would most recommend everyone to have their hands on at all times, is a water-based lube. Now, water-based lube is an amazing all-round lubricant and the perfect go-to for pretty much every sexual activity going. Whether that's masturbation, sex toy play alone or with a partner, penetrative sex. It has a natural, light, silky feel and is probably the most versatile of all the lubes out there. It's safe for use with all of your sex toys and is 99.9% of the time condom safe, but I will always recommend people to double check with their individual brands just to make absolutely sure. It's ideal for people with sensitive skin or vaginal irritation as it's very mild. So if you do lean towards the more sensitive side of things, then do stick with a water-based lubricant. And it's also super easy to clean out of clothing, sheets, any kind of fabric, without leaving any kind of staining. A win, if you ask me. It can be used for anal sex, but I would definitely recommend specific anal-based lubes more, which I will get onto in a bit. Water-based lube is a little runnier in consistency than some other lubes such as silicone or oil-based, and it's not your best bet for use in the shower. Yay, shower sex, my fave, as it will basically just wash away. And it also has the tendency to dry out or evaporate a little quicker than some of the other types of lube, so you may need to reapply it in order to maintain optimum wetness. I'm a huge fan of the water-based lube from Bellesa. It's also in a super cute bottle as well. Not that that makes or breaks a product, but I know I'm not someone who is fazed by literally having bottles of lube on my bedside table for the world to see, or whoever visits my bedroom rather. But some people might not be so comfortable with that. And actually, a cute bottle might help. It's giving lube pleasure goddess aesthetic. They do have a good range of some other lubes as well. And yes, I work with them, but I'm not giving #influencer. If you do want to invest in some great lube, you can, of course, use my discount code BBSOTP20. That's BBSOTP, like sex on the peach, 20, and that will get you 20% off. I do not promote any products I do not use myself, so make of that what you will. This is also going to come in handy for you next week when we get into it with the sex toys, so you might want to hold off and get yourself a little haul. Then we have silicone-based lube. Now, silicone-based lubricants last the longest out of any lubricant. So if you're intending to partake in a sex marathon and you feel like you might be raw dogging this sexy situation for hours to come, then this is the one you want to reach for. It is also waterproof and it can be used in the shower or other water-based environments. So if steamy shower sex is your thing, as we know it is mine, then look no further than your little silicone friend. It is again 99.9% safe to use with latex condoms, but always check each individual brand. But it is absolutely not to be used with your silicone-based toys, as it will break them down over time by deteriorating the silicone. So for that, revert back to a water-based lube. This bad boy is super long-lasting and needs to be reapplied far less often than other lubes out there. So babies, it will hold up for as long as you do. Silicone lube is also hypoallergenic, so most people won't experience any reaction to it, but it can sometimes cause a little irritation if it isn't rinsed off soon after you're done. Uberlube is a great silicone lube, again in a sexy little glass bottle, aesthetic, and also Sliquid Silver, which you can pick up from Love Honey, is another great shout. If you want to go slipping and sliding on a Saturday night, oil-based lube will keep you going and going and going. However, I would recommend oil-based lubes more so for sensual massage and external play, whether that's solo or partnered. I personally wouldn't recommend oil-based lubes for penetrative sex. You can use it. It's not a complete no-go area. But its consistency can be quite difficult for the body to naturally get rid of after, and that leaves you more prone to vaginal infections or irritation. And B, oil-based lube is not compatible with latex condoms as it can degrade them. So condoms won't be safe for use if this is your primary form of contraception. It can also stain bedding, clothing, and other fabrics due to its consistency, just like any oil-based products, but it is great for massage and play as it will keep things hydrated. In terms of toys, it's only really compatible with toys that are made of glass or metal, but again, I would stick to external play if you're going to get involved with the oil-based lube. Yes, oil-based lubricant, which again you can pick up from Love Honey, is a plant oil-based lube, which has some great ingredients in, like vitamin E, which is good for delicate skin. So if you did want to try an oil base, that might be a nice place to start. And speaking of plant-based lubes, natural lubes are becoming more popular. And it means you can avoid using potentially harsh ingredients on sensitive skin or skin that might be easily irritated. Natural lubricants may have a bit of a shorter shelf life, which is something to bear in mind. Organic-based coconut oil is a popular choice for natural lubrication as it has antibacterial properties, but aloe vera, avocado oil, and even olive oil are being used more often nowadays. But please note, these cannot be used with latex condoms. You can also get hybrid lubes, which is a cheeky little water silicone situation. So it's a little bit of the best of both the lube worlds. The silicone makes it more long-lasting, but it keeps that slippery texture of the water base. And as most of the hybrid lubes are water-soluble, you'll also be able to avoid staining on bedding or fabrics. You can use hybrid lube with latex condoms, and it will also be safe to use with your sex toys, even if they are a silicone sex toy. But because I'm super protective of my toys, I would still say switch back to your pure water-based buddy for your silicone toys, just to keep them lasting as long as possible. But it's great for vaginal and anal use, and Bellesa again have a great one available by After Dark, which could easily be mistaken for another product if you don't want a glaringly obvious lube bottle chilling on your side table. Again, lube aesthetic. You can also get very specific anal lubes, which are usually a water or silicone base or hybrid. Anal lubes generally have enhanced thickness, and therefore these lubes help provide a much more cushioned glide for anal sex and anal play. And they are also long-lasting and don't need regular reapplication. We all know I'm not the guru for the anal side of things. Although who knows, maybe I would have been if I had used the correct lube in the beginning. But I have asked a couple of penis owner friends who enjoy receiving anal sex for some recommendations. And I've been recommended one which is very cutely named Cake Tush Kush, which is a hybrid lube and also safe to use with condoms. And I've been told it's slick, but not sticky. So there you go. I hope that's a finger in the right direction. If you're looking to expand into anal play and we're looking for a good lube to start. Now, moving on to lubes for play. Let's talk about flavoured lube. Flavoured lubes are a cute little sexy something extra to add to foreplay and oral sex. I get so many questions in about being concerned about smells and tastes, and although I think we all need to get more comfortable with our bodies in general, because unless something is actually wrong, as long as you're on top of your cleanliness as you would be with any other part of your body, whatever you've got going on will be fine. But flavoured lubes are a great way to play if you are having reservations or feeling self-conscious. I especially recommend them to people who are considering exploring rimming with a partner, just as a way to start, because so many people feel nervous about their bodies in that respect. And it just takes that stress or pressure away if you know you're going to essentially get a mouthful of strawberry or whatever flavour you choose to use. A lot of flavoured lubes are water-based. They are safe to swallow, and there are a huge range of flavours to choose from now. I would recommend staying away from flavoured lubes that contain things like glycerin or petroleum or other parabens, so just have a sneaky peek at the ingredients before trying them out. Also steer clear of using flavoured lubes that contain sugar or glucose for vaginal penetration, because that can trigger yeast infections, which, let me tell you, just simply are not cute. But I am a big fan of a flavoured lube, and I think it can be a super cute way to play. You can get anything from Mint Choc Chip by Lube Life, or if you prefer something fruity, which I personally do, you can even try a peach flavoured one. Oh yeah, that's right, by System Joe, called Peachy Lips. And System Joe actually have a mad range of flavours, so I would highly recommend you try them out in general anyway. Lastly, cooling and tingle lubes. These can provide additional stimulation and are designed to enhance your nerve endings and your response to touch. They are a very easy way to spice things up. However, I've had some good and bad experiences with tingle style lubes. Sometimes it's been super cute, and sometimes I felt like my entire vagine is fully on fire. So before you use this on sensitive areas, try a little on a less sensitive part of your body to get an idea of how strong the sensation is. I know we all want to feel smoking hot in the bedroom, but not in this way, trust me. Take it slow with these types of lube. Use a little at a time and build it up so you can stay on top of the sensation and not end up giving it liar pants on fire. Sliquid Organics is a great stimulating lube, which is actually 95% organic and glycerin and paraben free. So it's super safe and nice to be using on your genitals. These are all recommendations of lubes I've personally used, except the anal one. But if anyone has any lubes they've tried and love, please do pass them on to me also. But there you go. This is not just a slap on some Durex and slide on in situation. There is a whole world of play to be discovered with lube, and I hope that you might feel inspired to try maybe a different kind than normal, or even try it for the first time if it's not something you are used to doing. Lastly, if you are trying to conceive, then be sure to look for a lubricant that says it's sperm-friendly or fertility-friendly on its packaging, as some ingredients in certain lubes can impact the sperm's ability to move properly through a woman's reproductive tract. But I really mean this. Please do start introducing lube into your sex life. I promise you, it's going to make all the difference. Okay, so most of my questions I was sent in this week were about the different types of lube available, which I hope I have answered already. And of course, you will need to find what works best for you. But any follow-ups, please do get in touch with me further. And then every other question I got sent in was essentially exactly the same question. And I'm not surprised, because this is just reflective of the fact there's still so much shame surrounding lube or using any assistance during sex at all. So I've picked one out for the sake of reading it out, but for everyone else who sent in a similar question, hopefully this one answers all of them. My partner and I have never used lube before. I want to try it, but don't want to offend them and make them think I'm not turned on by them. How do I bring this up? We've touched on this in the episode already, in terms of the fact lube isn't a substitute for being turned on. It's just a very welcome addition to the bedroom. Even though you've never tried it before, it's completely normal to want to try new things in your sex life. And as using lube can enhance pleasure and make sex more comfortable, why wouldn't a partner want that for their significant other? I know bringing up the topic of using lube can feel a bit awkward because we're not used to communicating about it, or sex in general, but I promise you it doesn't have to be. Frame it as a way to enhance pleasure for the both of you. You could say something like, I was reading about or listening to this podcast about how using lube can make sex feel even better. How would you feel about us using it together? Also, I say, how would you feel about it? Because I think it's important to have these conversations respectfully. But also, I would say that lube is a space where no isn't really an optional answer. Respectfully. Also, be honest about your own experience. You say you've never used lube before and are curious about trying it, so just make it something new and exciting for you to try together. And also, normalize it. Remind your partner that using lube is a common and very normal practice that many people use to make sex more enjoyable. Let them know it's actually just a very standard sexual practice and can make things feel amazing. And remind them that you want to try with them because you just want to keep growing in your sex life together. Remember, using lube does not mean you or your partner aren't turned on by each other. It's simply a tool that can make sex more comfortable and enjoyable. With a little communication and openness, you and your partner can explore new ways to enhance your sex life, and lube is an amazing place to start. Well, who knew it was possible to talk for so long about lube? But seriously, it's still considered such a taboo thing when it's an absolute game changer for your sex life. And that's not to say your sex life isn't good already. This will just make it even better. And who doesn't want that? And also remember to use it in your self-pleasure too. Yes, our bodies are amazing and sexy and wonderful, and yes, we can do very cool things with them. But why the shame in using a little something extra? I don't know why we bought into the idea that we must use our bodies and our bodies only during sex, when actually there is a whole world of fun and help to be discovered and played with. Lube can be everything when it comes to positive sexual experiences, whether you are alone or with a partner. I hope that today's episode was helpful, and I hope you're all ordering lubes as we speak. I'll see you next week for part 2 of the Bedroom Besties that Sex Ed Forgot, sex toys. But for now, thanks for coming. Thank you for tuning in to Sex on the Peach today, and I hope that you enjoyed this week's episode. You can find and follow me on Instagram, YouTube and TikTok at Sex on the Peach Cast, and you can also get in touch with me at sexonthepeachcast@gmail.com. Please do continue to like, share, subscribe, rate and review wherever you listen to your podcasts, and I'll see you next week. Love.